Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Econometric and Research at QA. Today we are going to talk about how we can apply the panel data models and some diagnostic tests using the Stata. In this discussion, mainly we will talk about the fixed effect, the random effect, and ordinary least square, and the comparison between all of these. Moreover, we will also talk about some diagnostic tests using this data. So, in the lecture one, we will talk about how we can set the data as a panel and developing some panel data graphs. Secondly, we will talk about how we can generate some descriptive statistics and the correlation metrics. And in the third step, we will talk about how we can apply the ordinary least square estimator, and we will generate variance inflation factor outcomes just to check whether there exists a higher correlation between the variables or not. So without losing any time, we need to move on towards the Stata. First of all, we will open the data in the Stata. So here comes the data file. I'm just loading it into Stata 14. So guys, this is actually the data for different IDs having the years from starting from 1990 to 2020. This is actually our main dependent variable CO2, followed by the green innovation, environmental policies agency, economic growth, and green financing as well. Okay. So first thing first, we need to set the data as panel. So the command is very simple: xt set space ID and year, and we need to press enter. Now we have declared that the data is panel and which is strongly balanced starting from 1990 to 2020 for all the panel IDs. Okay. So afterwards, what we have to do, we will generate a graph for the panel data. So the graph for the panel data is quite simple. The command is xt line space the name of the variable. For example, I'm interested in generating the graph for the panel data of carbon emission for all the economies starting from 1990 to 2020, and we need to press enter. It will take a couple of seconds just to generate the graph. Here it is. So these are actually the graphs for all the entities. For example, for the entity 1, entity 2, entity 3, and so on. Okay, you can simply edit this graph by clicking on this graph editor tool. Just click on this one. Here comes the editor window. You simply can change the background color. You can say I'm changing into the white, and I just want to change the layout of this line into connected ones, and so on. You can also change the color, the size of the line, and so on. So this is actually the process how we can generate the panel graph for any variable. Okay. And if you want to save this graph, the process is quite simple. For example, just again, you need to click on this one. You need to save this graph, and I am saving it as panel graph, and press enter. Now you simply can copy this graph, copy, and you can paste into the Word file. Okay. Meanwhile, you can also combine these graphs, all these graphs, by typing the command xtline CO2 comma overlay. Okay. Now the overlay command will just combine all the graphs into one, you can say the image. Okay. So these are actually the graph for all of these panel IDs starting from 1 to 21. Now in the second step, what we have to do, we need to generate the descriptive statistics and the correlation analysis. So the process is quite simple. The command is summarize space. We need to type the name of the variable CO2, green innovation, per share, GDP, and green finance, and you need to press enter. So these are actually, you can say, the descriptive statistics for all of these variables. Afterwards, we need to generate the correlation matrix. The correlation matrix, the process is quite simple. We need to type PW core, pairwise correlation, space, all the variables, CO2, green innovation, EPS, GDP, and GF, and we need to press enter. So this is actually, you can see, the correlation matrix between the variables of interest. In the third step, what we have to do, we need to apply the OLS estimator followed by the various inflation factor. So the command for generating the OLS estimation is reg. You can also type the regress as well. Okay, both will generate the same outcome. So simply say, for the simplicity of analysis, I'm typing reg, my main dependent variable CO2, followed by GI, EPS, GDP, and green finance, and I need to press. So these are actually, you can say, the regression analysis, simple regression analysis. Here comes, you can say, the regression coefficients. These are actually the regression coefficients. These are, here comes your standard error, here comes your t statistics, here come your p values. Okay. So after generating these outputs, the next step is we need to generate VIF. We need to generate VIF, variance inflation factor. Variance inflation factor normally answer the question whether there is a higher level of correlation or multi-collinearity in the data or not. So for this one, the command is very simple. We need to press VIF and press enter. Now, these are actually the VIF for the individual variables for EPS, GI, GFN, GDP, and this is actually the main VIF. Now, if the VIF value is less than 5, we can say that there is no problem for the higher correlation between the variables of interest. Similarly, if the values for the 1 over VIF, or also known as the tolerance level, if the tolerance level, this one, 1 over VIF, the values are above 0.10, we can also claim the same, that there is no problem for the higher correlation between the variables of interest. So both of these findings are saying that we have a no problem related to the multi-collinearity in the data, so we can move on towards the next analysis. So guys, this is actually the lecture 1 for applying dependent data techniques. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.